Good morning, everyone. Um, I hope you are back in class. It's time we start our mathematics class for the GSS2 students. All right, so I want everyone to comment on the chat section their names as a means of attendance for today's class. Everybody should comment on the chat section their names as a means of attendance for today's class. Okay. And don't forget that if anybody by any means missed this class while it is being viewed live, you can go to the YouTube section and you watch the class and then you comment with your name. So peradventure you miss this class, you can also watch on the YouTube. Or peradventure there is anything you don't understand, you can always go back to the YouTube videos and watch it. Right, so my name remains Lawal Philip O, and today we're going to be talking about rounding off of numbers, and we're going to actually briefly look at significant figures, and if time permits, we can go as far as checking decimal places. It is the topic on the chapter 2 of your textbooks. For those that have the textbook with you at home, you can check at the textbook, and then you will see it in chapter 2, rounding off numbers. We're talking about significant figures and then decimal places. So, but we're going to start with rounding up of numbers. So when we say that we're rounding off numbers, what do we mean by rounding off numbers? This is a scientific idea of making sure that estimate is given to particular set of numbers, be it large number or small numbers. Okay, so we're going to hit the road. Okay, so rounding off numbers, uh, that's the topic, rounding off numbers. Okay, and then rounding off numbers, we are talking about the importance of rounding off numbers is to avoid errors in calculation and figures. You can give estimates to the nearest 10, to the nearest 100, to the nearest 1,000, all right? So that you can make informed decision about numbers. Because when you are dealing with numbers, you need to make informed decision about numbers, be it business decision, political decision, and even analytical decisions in terms of mathematical uh, judgment. Okay, so we have all that. Okay, good. I've seen Lincoln, Sheriff. Okay, good. Please write your name. I want your name. No, it's math class, not English. Mathematics class. Mathematics class. Write your real name. We are marking attendance here, so don't use nickname, please. I want you to write your name, if possible, your full name, uh, so that we can actually note it on the attendance register here. All right, we can notice it on the attendance register. Demola, good. Rayan Yusuf, I've seen you. Okay, Halima Oguntoyinbo, that's nice. Please make sure you are always writing your name in full. All right, please concentrate on this class. Concentrate on this class. Very important. Concentrate on this class. All right. So let's talk about how and what we need to do. The first thing we need to do is to note how to round off our numbers. Ukachuku, Tonti, Jamil, Oderino, Fetia, Nicole. All right, good. You're welcome to class. Please, I want everybody to concentrate on this. All right. So I'll be checking the names after one after the other like that. Okay. So what we need to note when we're rounding off number, when we're rounding off numbers, so let me do some adjustments to this. Okay. Okay, so I think there is something I just need to quickly put there, and that is a missing letter. All right, so I've been able to get that done. Okay, so I can actually move on now. Okay, so the importance of rounding off, important. Okay, so that was double error. Okay, let me go back and edit it. All right. Uh, okay, the importance of rounding off numbers. Yeah, so it's correct this way. All right. So the importance of rounding off numbers is to avoid errors in calculation and figures. Okay, so what do we need to know? The first one is that anytime you have numbers, the digits you are rounding off, if it is 1, 2, 3, and 4, you round it down. Rounding it down means that you turn it to zero. You turn it to zero. You make it insignificant. You turn it to zero. All right. And then that does not mean you remove the particular place value. The place value will still be there, but it means zero will be occupying it. That means you round it down, you turn it to zero level. All right. It's like you are sliding it down to zero because it is just 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. But when you have 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, you round it up. It means from 5 and above, you turn it to 1. You turn it to 1 and then you add it to the next place value. So let me use three digits place value now. If I have 173, 173, the 3 is the unit place, the 7 is the tens, while the 1 is the hundred. 173, when you want to write it in words, you write it as 170, then 3. You can split it into 100, 7 tens, and 3 units. Okay, so when you have that written, so what it means is that the number occupying the unit value is 3, the number occupying the tens value is 7, and the number occupying the hundred value is 1. Okay, so if I want to talk about rounding down in the unit value now, the unit is 3. So if I want to write 173 and I want to round 3 down, because 3 is just a number from between 1 and 4. So between 0 and 5. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's a number that is not up to 5. So I can turn it to 0 and just say 170. All right. That is to round it down. But the number 7, which occupies the tens place value, you round that up. Like if I have 170 and I want to rewrite it to the nearest 100, 70 is closer to 100 as a number because the number 7 is above 5 already, or from 5 to 9. So instead of writing 170, I can just assume 200. All right, 200. This particular estimates or the ways of writing number is very, very important when you are carrying out statistical decisions, because you might not have the exact accurate value, because there are in the advanced statistical knowledge, you talk about outliers. There are some values that will not be part of your original calculation that will be coming in as you are doing the calculation. So that is why you need to learn about all this rounding up and rounding down. Okay, so let's check some things to note as an example. Okay, so we say round off the following number to the nearest. We are going to be talking about 1,000, 100, and 10. Okay, so when I have a particular number, I want to round it up to the nearest 1,000. I want to round it up to the nearest 100, and I also want to round it up to the nearest 10. So what are the numbers we are talking about? Look at this. We have 12835. This is a 5 digit number. And when you want to read this, you say that 12,835. 12,835. So it means you have 10 of 1,000, you have 1,000, which is occupied by the number 2, you have 8, which is occupied by the number 100, you have 3, which is occupied by the number 10, I mean the unit, the tens value, while the 5 is the unit value. Okay, then we have another one, which is 13067. That is 13,067. 13,067. Okay, then We are going to be working on all these numbers, and we are going to be taking each of them, rounding it up accordingly as they appeared in the question section. Okay, so before we move ahead, let me also review the question. Round off the following numbers. So we have 3 numbers, and each of the number will be rounded up to 1,000, 100, and 10. So we have each of the number will be solved in 3 different categories of rounding off to 1,000, 100, and 10. So we can move on now. So let's see the solution. This is the number 12,835. So if you want to round 12,835 to the nearest 1,000, look at the nearest 1,000 you have there. The nearest 1,000 is 2,000. Now, the next number which is occupying the 100 place value is 8. And because 8, the number 8 okay, so we have from 12,835 now becomes 13,000. Okay, so let's check. Don't forget that the same 12,835, we are to round it up to the nearest 100. So how will it be if we are rounding it up to the nearest 100?
Can you tell them
Okay.
not to write irrelevant things? Now I'm going to remove them from the system if they will continue.
Okay. Now please note, you are not following the class. I can see some of you are not following the class. You are not following the class. So if you disturb this class by what you are writing on the chat section, you are going to be removed. You are going to be removed. So warn yourself. Warn yourself. Now, everyone should concentrate on the class. If you are disturbing the class too much, you are going to be removed from the class. So concentrate on what you are learning, and there will be a time for you to practice. So if you are not practicing, you are going to miss something. So please concentrate now. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so let us see 12,835. We're writing it as 12,800 to the nearest 100. Now, why is it going to be 12,800? If you check the tens value, in the tens value place, you have 3. And 3 is less than 5. So it means that we're going to round it down. It cannot match up, so it has to become 0. And you notice that once that becomes 0, of course, if the tens unit place is not up to 5, then we don't need the unit place. So every other number becomes 0 by default, because the next number we need to go to the 100 place is not up to 5, so every other number becomes 0. So we have 12,800. That is to the nearest 100. And then to the nearest 10,